Hello and welcome to episode number 9 of the series covering my Python video game engine development. It's been a few weeks since the last video. I took some time off to do some other projects, but in the last few days I've picked up development again. And if you can't tell already, most of the work I've done recently has been related to text. You may recall a couple of videos ago I had some very basic text functionality. I showed off with the radio buttons and the checkboxes, and I think I also had it showing up for the buttons in the windows as well. Well, I have re-implemented text functionality in the engine, completely redone it from the way it was before. In fact, I had several weeks ago I had already taken out all of the old text code. So this is all new stuff. I'm using the Piglet graphical library to do several of the things, provide OpenGL bindings as well as event system hooks for keyboard and mouse events and things like that. And Piglet also offers some pretty advanced font rendering capabilities as well. And so I've kind of made my own text class that builds on top of Piglet's features. As you can see here, I have text implemented on the buttons, and then where you see Damascus in large letters, that's a text element by itself. And you can make text elements, work just like any other elements. As you can see, I can, move this around, and it will, follow the sides of the window just like anything else would. So that's pretty neat. And you see that the this particular example is semi-transparent. So when I move it over the buttons, you can actually see the buttons underneath. That's pretty cool. So full transparency support there. One other thing that is interesting to note, not only is the new text rendering much more efficient than the way I was doing it before, it also supports clipping or cropping. If the text is too big than the imaginary boundaries for that text element, it will actually crop off the edges of that text to hide anything that would be outside the boundaries, which is extremely necessary. You don't want button text to show up outside the edges of the button, because that would just be bizarre. One of the cool things I've done, the button implements its own subclass of the text class, and it allows slight modifications to the way that the text element for each button works. I'll show you here when I click the button. Hopefully you can notice this in the resolution you're viewing. The text on the button will actually shift down and to the right 1 pixel to kind of emphasize the depressing of the button. And I'm going to do that now. I hope you can see that text moving where you are. But it's just a 1 pixel shift to the right and down. But it totally makes the effect more, real. Pretty much any other system that involves depressed buttons has some sort of modification to the text to indicate what's going on. Something else I'd like to add in the future is the ability to change the text color on the button depending on the state the button is, whether it's normal or highlighted or depressed. The text can be a different color for each of those states. One other thing I'd like to do for the text class itself is to allow for outlined text. So you'll be able to choose the color of the text itself, and you'll be able to choose the color of the outline around the text. I haven't decided if I'll allow choosing how thick the outline is. I think what I'd like to do at this point is to make it based on the font size of the text in the control. The text also supports horizontal and vertical alignments. So say I had a text control that took up the entire space of this window, but the text itself was only a small portion. I could align the text to the top left, so it would always show in the top left corner, or I could align it to the bottom right, so it would be in the bottom right corner. I could put it in center. It would put it, show up in the very center of the screen. So there are kind of 9 zones, and you can align the text in any of those 9. So for horizontal, it's left, center, and right, and for vertical alignment, it's top, center, and bottom. So that all works pretty well. I have yet to implement text on the checkbox and radio button controls, as well as the windows, but that shouldn't take me long at all. I've done some other behind-the-scenes work as well. One of the really cool features that I can't really show you in the video is that the engine actually supports saving now, saving the GUIs. So you can, save, like say I had a main menu GUI, which I do. You can save the main menu GUI, or if you have several GUIs all rendering at the same time, you can save the entire contents of the canvas all as one save. And then those saves are loadable by the engine to be displayed next time that you run it. And that's just one more step along the way to having a full-blown GUI creator, GUI editor in the engine itself, so that you don't have to type everything by hand the way I'm doing it now. What else? I implemented a dump method for all of the GUI classes, and basically what that does is it lists all the methods that each GUI object has available to it. It lists its standard properties, I'm calling members, and then it also lists anything that you've tagged it with, any extra properties that you've applied to it outside of the normal set. Let's see what else. I've also made major progress on going through and commenting all the code, especially if this engine is going to turn out to be an open source project that I am freely sharing with the community. Commented code is going to be essential for people to be able to read it and do things with it. Anything else? Let's see. I've got a little list here of everything that I've been doing so that I can keep track of change logs and things like that. I think that's basically everything I need to mention this time around. I've got some cool ideas for things I'd like to get done in the next few days, so you might have a new video from me soon. That's all for now. I hope you guys like the tech stuff. I know I was pretty thrilled when I got everything working. Just in case you're interested, one of the big problems that was holding me up, OpenGL is a state machine, meaning you can enable things, you can disable things, and those settings affect the way that OpenGL works. So say you wanted to have transparency, well then you'd have to enable alpha blending. So you turn that on, and when you don't want transparency anymore, you turn it off. So if you want your button to not be transparent but you want your text to be transparent, for the button alpha blending is off. When the text rendering starts, alpha blending is on. So one of the OpenGL states, the matrix mode, was set incorrectly for the text rendering. The text rendering has to be done under a particular matrix mode, which is not the same matrix mode that I'm using for the rest of the rendering. So basically what I've done is in the rendering routine for the text class itself, I'm changing the matrix mode from the one that I normally use to the one that works for text, and then swapping it back at the end of the text rendering. So that works very well. So far I don't seem to see any of the performance issues that we had earlier with the previous text a couple of videos ago. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. That's all I've got for you. See you next time.